Well, hello, internet land. This is Nephente, and I am sending, broadcasting through the tangled weaves of the interwebs using a new software, which could go flawlessly or awfully. Only time will tell. Pros to that is that I can now hopefully not fuck up the chat completely as soon as I try to look for any input. So feel free to input stuff in the chat. I've been criticized for using cider glasses for drinking Guinness, which is obviously the wrong thing. But I couldn't find Guinness glasses yet, but I will look into it because, of course, I respect the problems that occur mentally when people are just doing crazy shit like that. Today it's the 8th of June. Yesterday I had intended to live stream, but hadn't been too clever with my communication, so my guest wasn't really prepared for that. So that episode is recorded, and I will put it out a bit later. But that was yesterday. Today is today. Also, if you want to, you can help out by helping me to reach some viewers by sharing the video that you're watching, because Facebook is certainly not helping when it comes to promoting or helping me to reach anyone. Limited number of invites to events. Well, they nerf everything if we're not paying for it. But greetings back to El Salvador from Stockholm, Sweden. Hello, Ferenc. I happen to know you are in Stockholm. In any case, as you know, I do this stuff to be able to communicate and to vent, I think. One day I might look back on these little streams and maybe I can figure out then why I do them. But I think these are weird times, and we're still in weird times. In Stockholm, the summer has actually come, which means it's 15, 20 degrees, somewhere in between blue skies, and not as gloomy as it has been, but we're still in the middle of this ongoing invisible crisis. And I guess it affects everyone who's watching, from El Salvador to Stockholm to Moscow and so on. I mean, this situation will last for, I mean, the foreseeable future. In my normal life, I also have an office job, and I'm informed that they do not expect me or do not even want me back in the office until the end of the year. So distance working for almost the entire 2020. And I didn't expect that in January, but well, there you go. And the reason for that is that they want the metro and the rest of the public communications to be as, I mean, it should be available for those with essential jobs, healthcare, and so forth. But I have to say, I mean, there's been various ways to combat this stuff. And in Sweden, as some of you know, we have chosen, or not we, they, our elected leaders and expert government agencies. I mean, they've decided on one way, and it has differed quite a bit from some of our neighboring countries. And I think it's way too early to say in the long run what is the best thing. But I can tell you for sure, this is a Swedish passport, my Swedish passport. And that has, up until recently, been awesome at, opening up borders when wanting to travel. But all of a sudden, I feel how it is when you live in a nation which is no longer welcome. I mean, Denmark, Norway, other countries are discussing, when can we let the pest-ridden Swedes in? hopefully never, I guess, is the answer, but at least it will take some time. And I have to say, that is a little bit of a mind twister, because we're just so used to always being welcome, and we're, looked upon as, a decent place. And all of a sudden, we feel like we are being judged. But at the same time, I have to say, I mean, these last few days have been, to me, very disappointing, because in the US we have the Black Lives Matter protests, and there are many reasons for that, and I'm not going to, pretend in any way to know it all. But what I do know is that in Sweden, all of a sudden, people just didn't give a fuck about social distancing or give a fuck about, trying to be smart. So we had violent protests in Stockholm, in Malmö, in Gothenburg. And to me, regardless, no one is, I don't think there's one person in Sweden who thinks it's great with, police abuse of minorities. So there is really no one to protest against here. But, protesting always occurs, and there's always this sort of stuff happening. But I have to say, it was really disappointing, because I thought that we could keep two things in our head. I mean, staying safe and staying smart, and care about stuff that we think is wrong, and maybe be able to combine those two thoughts. Yeah, Frederick, I saw in Gothenburg, it's been crazy. But in any case, it so quickly turns into politics, and I might have opinions about stuff, but not really strongly. But what I strongly feel is that it's too early for us to stop giving a fuck about trying to keep this pestilence curbed. So regardless of that, I think we should try to express our opinions in a way that at least doesn't transmit a disease we've been working so hard all over the globe trying to stop. And that doesn't diminish our opportunities or possibilities to still work for, a world without, racism shit. But yeah, so that has been, I've tried not to say too much about, things around the globe, but that was quite disappointing. In any case, here's to life, and life still goes on. How are you guys coping? Feel free to write in the chat, and I can try to also respond. I will try to also respond to a question that was posed last week regarding underground versus not so underground music, and whether and I stumbled upon my own reasoning there, whether I am so hypocritical that I stop liking music if it becomes mainstream, or if I stop liking it because it's changed to become mainstream. And Skål fans. And here is and I was toying with the concept that maybe I'm such a closed-minded person that, if something I like becomes huge, I stop liking it because it becomes huge. But then I thought about Tiamat, for instance, which used to be an incredibly, underground band, like any other, those early days of death, black metal. But today is a band that's, plays to a much greater audience. And I couldn't really say that Tiamat today is an underground act. But I had a conversation with Johan in Tiamat regarding that, and I think they still have a lot of that attitude, and it's still there. So I guess maybe the fact that they have the roots there still makes me like them, or just that the transformation they did that allowed them to become a much more popular act was just in line with stuff I like, and maybe we sort of developed me and my music taste developed more or less along the same road as the band, but I don't know. But I am still a little bit afraid that I might actually like stuff more if it's underdog music that not so many people like. So I am afraid that to me it is a little bit better if it is underground, just because it's underground. But I hope you guys are not as closed-minded as me. But in any case, since I now have this new software and stuff, I will now be super modern here, and because I'm going to do something, and I will just highlight this. Rika, don't forget to talk about saxophones in metal once again. I will never again talk about saxophones in metal because it fucking sucks. No, it doesn't. Well, no, it doesn't, because Painkiller has it, and it's Mick Harris, and that's cool. But just see what I did there. I took stuff from the chat and put it in the video. It's a feature. But I was gonna ask you guys if you could share some tips about TV series that you're watching. And hello from Chile, and hello back from Stockholm, Sweden. If you could share some tips about TV series or streaming series that you've seen that you like, and I will share 4 now. And I will start with the first one that I can't say. This is a K-drama, and it's on Netflix, and it's called Mr. Sunshine. And this was the first K-drama that I actually bothered with. And the reason why I really fell for it, like Bajum, is because the camera work is fantastic. But it's slow. It really is taxing. So you will have to invest some time into getting into the slow pace of it. But it's also it made me interested in Korea and the history of Korea in a way that I wasn't before, and the fact that Korea has always been this nation which has been greatly affected by Japan, by Russia, by the US. And if you watch the TV series, it's also, you will realize that they do like some of these nations more than others. They are a little bit pro-American, one can say. But that one, if you you're not, if you don't have black belt in K-drama and would like to see something that is at least visually extremely beautiful, Mr. Sunshine is a tip from me. But if you hate it and you think it's too slow, don't say I didn't warn you, because it's really slow. I also heard that Korea is investing tons of money in series like this in order to promote Korea as a tourist and a place of interest, and it succeeded with me. So I fell for the marketing. So, but it's pretty serious, but it's also like K-drama. They chop off heads, they have quirky romances, and there's some comedy. Everything intertwined. It's pretty cool. Another series, because I am a little bit, I wouldn't say a history nerd, but I tend to like historical dramas and stuff. But this one, The Great, which I think I watch on HBO Nordic, but I have no idea who carries this in various countries. But this is about Russian history, and of course they have a problem with the Swedes, and you don't have to be extremely interested in history to know that Sweden and Russia have a somewhat of a war-torn history. But I like it because it's really quick, it's witty, it's comical, it's historically extremely inaccurate. So I mean, but just like Vikings, history is more like a setting. They don't really bother so much with the details. But for me, I wish somebody recommended it to me, So that's why I recommend it to you. So that one is nice. But I also have to show you this one, Devs. I watch it on HBO, I think, or Netflix, I'm not sure. HBO, I think. This one is a sci-fi, but not really in the, you know, not so much the flying airships and laser beams, but still it's about quantum computing and the dilemmas it presents when we are able to crunch enough data to recreate the universe. Or the multiverse, if you are inclined to that sort of stuff. It sounds like, you know, a software development company drama, an office, but this is more philosophy, and I actually have to say I fell for it tremendously hard. So and it's short. It's one season out, and it feels contained, clever, also beautifully presented, I have to say. One last bit before I get to the question in the chat, and it's this one. It's called Tales from the Loop. It's based on, this photo is from the Swedish sort of blueprint of Tales from the Loop. It's a Swedish artist, Simon Stålenhag, who has rewritten history. So it's sort of the 80s, but with industrial robots roaming the landscape. And his paintings are fantastic. And he's also been the art director of this series, but it's an American production, Tales from the Loop. And it's also an existentialistic sort of venture, but also with the aesthetics of these machines. And since I am now on this modern platform, I will try to see if I could actually show you the trailer, which I'm sure should be fine, or not.
What do you do?
When someone says something's impossible, I prove it's possible.
Not everything in life makes sense. One day, many years from now, you'll wonder if this really happened. Or if it was a dream.
Everyone is connected to the loop in one way or another.
Yeah, it's well worth watching. I will not do more commercial presentation than that. They don't pay me much. Nothing. They pay me nothing. In any case, the reason why I wanted to switch into a platform where I can sort of do a little bit more than previously, I will get to it soon, but it's sometimes I feel, you know, I'm extremely interesting. I'm an extremely captivating person. No, sometimes we just need a little bit more, you know, to spice things up. And actually, one thing that I really was missing was the opportunity to do this, to pick up stuff that you guys write, so I can sort of respond to it. And if I remember No Fashion Records, why they closed, And yes, I do fucking remember No Fashion Records. They were releasing the soundtrack to which I grew up. And everything I know in music was more or less told to me from the guys running No Fashion. And they had a motto, which were, where we go, others can only follow, which is a fantastic fucking motto. So good that I stole it and used it in one of my songs. You wouldn't get away with that in the extreme metal. So of course it's a homage, because nobody would think or miss that reference, or at least they shouldn't. I don't know why they closed, but I think it was a succession of changes, and I think the label still lives on through what is today Black Lodge, or some of the back catalog, and some of the people involved, I think, still are tied to the record industry today. But it's not that small little independent label as it used to be. And actually, the previous NETHERBIRD album, The Grand Voyage, was released on Black Lodge. And I know at least one of those guys were sort of affiliated with No Fashion back in the day. But it's one of these labels that did nothing wrong. They were just, the right people at the right place with the right understanding. And every fucking album they released is a classic today. And how does that even happen? But I think some people just got an ear for what is, the next thing. And they were there. And they had the pulse of the underground at their fingertips, and they understood it. So if you're not familiar with Black Lodge, with No Fashion Records, go to Metal Archives and just look it up and see the fucking lineup of bands that they released. I'm looking here. I have a couple of thousand CDs on my wall, and I would say that I think at least 90% of the releases they did, I have in the first edition even. Because in those days, and this is, I'm an old person, but in those days, I mean, you weren't able to Google up shit, so you had to sort of find a source that you could tap. So if you found a record that was really good on a label, at least you could check out the other titles of that label, and that way you could sort of find your way into good music. Because, I mean, you couldn't fucking Google it, or at least I couldn't. No, nobody could. It was not before the internet, but before internet became readily available. So I think internet was ARPANET, and I think it was released September 1969. Wow, something like that. But the www was way later. In any case, No Fashion is one of these outlets that you could just find good stuff. And also, a good label will attract good bands. And I mean, I will try to talk to my guest a little bit about that also. But I mean, talent attracts talent. And talent is also inspired by talent. So, I mean, the fact that they only released so good albums inspired others to, do similar stuff, try to eclipse it, and trying to get a deal with this label. So it's sort of becomes a catalyst for improvement. But I'm happy that you mentioned it, because No Fashion, I think, is one out of maybe, there are a few more, Wrong Again Records and some others. Just to tie this together, when I grew up in the forest of Sweden, which means it's fucking far from Stockholm, and where there were no record stores there, but we had there were one place selling CDs or vinyls in Gothenburg called Dolores Records. They were also a label. I think they released the early Grotesque and stuff like that. And then we had Chicken Brain Records in Stockholm, which has this newsletter where you can see, okay, so project by the member, this and that of this and that band, and then you just, you bought the pig in the bag all the time because you had nothing else to go for. So I mean, you wanted brutal shit. It said, two lines, this is brutal shit, and you order brutal shit. And we were not the only one. I think they sort of, in those days, were the ones, nourishing the underground phenomena. So without them, I don't know if the Swedish metal scene could have developed the way it did, at least not outside Stockholm. I don't know that. Well, that about that. Since we work with maximum risk in this business of entertainment, and we are entertaining you, or right now it's me. But since we are also on this multimedia platform, which is not Zoom, which you can tell because there is no longer a Zoom logo all over the transmission. But we can play videos, and only to provoke the gods of the copyrights, I will now play a video that I think I loved it when it came, and I still really like it. And it also, by no coincidence, of course, ties into the guest of tonight's session. So let's see if I can get this to roll. I could maybe. And there will be audio soon.
There is nothing in my heart, that is how I love you. There is nothing in my heart, that is how I hate you. There is nothing in my head, that is what I owe you. There is nothing in my mind, that is what I think of you. This is a song for hate and devotion. For all of you who mean nothing to me. There is nothing in my heart, that is how I love you. There is nothing in my heart, that is how I hate you. There is nothing in my head, that is what I give you. There is nothing in my head, that is what I speak of you. This is a song for hate and devotion. For all of you who mean nothing to me. Nothing in my heart, that is how I love you. There is nothing in my heart, that is how I hate you. There is nothing in my eyes, that is how I see you. There is nothing in my soul, that That is what I feel for you. This is a song for hate and devotion. For all of you who mean nothing to me. This is a song for hate and devotion. For all of you who mean nothing to me.
I'm joyful. What a great transition I made there. But actually, my mouse cursor is fucked. I have a guest who I will try to let into this if I can actually find him. The multimedia experience, guys. It's fantastic. Hello.
Hello.
This is Tomas from Ordo Rosarius Equilibrio. And I'm so happy that you could join this highbrow conversation channel.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Good to be here. I'm pretty okay.
Yeah.
In these times of Corona, it's good things are hard to come by.
Yeah, they are. They are. But tell me a little bit.
Watching you drinking beer and smoking is quite a privilege.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is where mankind finally, we got to the zenith of existence. We watch each other drink and smoke on the internet.
Yeah, of course. This is just a hint of what the future will be like.
Yeah, it's I can't wait actually. But in any case, I'm really glad that you were able to take some time. Can you tell me a little bit, or the viewers also, of course, because you are residing, obviously also in Sweden, but a bit further up north. How are things there?
Yeah, right. If you would have talked to me 2 weeks ago, I would have said it was just really damn cold and we still had snow, but we don't anymore. Snow disappeared about 10, 12 days ago, and even the night temperatures are above zero. So, yeah, I would say that life is swell.
Exactly, by Nordic standards.
Yeah, it's really summery up here right now.
Yeah, it's great.
But the thing is that spring happens in 2 days. Down south, it happens in a few weeks, but up here, it happens in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's and now the days are really long, right?
Yeah. Nights are usually quite long for about 6 or 7 months, but right now it's only day.
Yeah. So what I mean, just to give people a little bit, because I know, it baffles me when I'm up north. But when does the sun rise and when does it set for you now?
I would say it probably sets around midnight and it goes up again around 1.
It's insane. It has to be experienced actually, because you can tell people about it, but when you go up there and you see kids playing football at midnight, then you start to realize things are so different in the summer. It's really cool.
You realize there are shitty parents up here too.
Yeah, yes, there is still hope.
Rebellion. Yeah, it's crazy. It's quite crazy. I'm not used to it yet. I've lived here for the past 5 years, but I'm not used to it. It's if you come here and you have problems sleeping, you will definitely not sleep. And on our latitude, we only have the midnight sun experience only lasts here for about 2 weeks. But if you go further north, the midnight sun experience lasts for up to a month and a half.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, it does change you. I mean, the winter, the total gloom and darkness, and then to have it switched into, you know, restless, sweaty nights. It's a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Every day is up here is this challenge for different reasons.
Let's see. We got a little chat question here. It's one of your fans.
Hello, Francisco. One of my favorite albums, Cocktails, Carnage, Crucifixion, Pornography. I suppose you're saying if we are thinking about re-releasing it, or?
Yeah, maybe. Or
yeah. It was re-released after we signed Out of Line. We had a re-release session of the back catalog. It came out in new cover CD versions, extended, remastered. But I think that people want to see all this material on vinyl, and I suppose that's a challenge. I know there are several labels who gladly would release it on vinyl, but since we are working with Out of Line, I will give them the opportunity first, and we'll see what they say. So, yeah, maybe things will happen next year for a new album and hopefully the re-release of such things like that. And there's also a plan to finally release the For Life, For Love, For Lust and Roses album, which never saw the light of day, which I still have lodged here in my computer. So yeah, there are things happening.
That's cool. Are you feeling creative now in this time of lockdown? People ask, you know, oh, so now you guys are writing new material. Yeah, I wish. How is it for you?
No, I do absolutely nothing. These have been the worst months in my life creatively. I haven't done anything. I have nothing to show for the coronavirus.
No.
I mean, but I suppose that when the time comes when I can breathe freely again, and when the panic is over and life returns to what some sort of normality, there will be a diarrhea effect, and there will definitely be a new album in 2021.
Yeah. Please don't make it a concept album about this pandemic, because I think it would be so flooded with, you know, all these frustrated people writing about the only thing happening to them, and it's like, yeah, we know. We've all been there.
Now, damn, you destroyed my whole concept here, so I have to rethink everything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Actually, I'm just trying to sway everybody else away from it, so our Corona album will be, you know, fantastically interested in met with, you know.
But you can keep it. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you. It's people will be, you know, astonished by what I went through.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of your music for ages, and I think I came across it by a fluke, because you guys were part of a Close-Up magazine compilation in the later part of the 90s, I think.
That could be. I think that.
Do you remember that?
I think there was a compilation track from Conquest, Love, and Self-Perseverance, which found its way on the Close-Up compilation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were big times for Cold Mid industry, I think. Popularity-wise, for a lot of the bands, thanks to Mortis. And we were, a lot of the bands were spreading like cancer through the metal community across Europe.
And I think that's how I remember it. I shouldn't say this because I guess, but I think they wrote it like a dark, sinister Enya, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's correct. It is a really, really stupid description of what it was. But yeah, I think that's actually what it said on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I mean, thankfully, they weren't right. But they actually opened up an artistry, I mean, a field of music, and especially, I have to say, what struck me was the lyrics, because I think what you pen is more deep, dark, and purely satanic than most of the black metal stuff, because it speaks really of the essence of self and stuff. But do you feel that you get traction in the metal community, or is it sort of still rare that metalheads are, picking up your stuff? Is it more the neo-folk, gothic? Do you even know?
I think that it differs in various countries. In Sweden, for example, I don't think the metal community is or ever has been our biggest market. But in Poland, I think that it's fair to say that we basically only existed in the metal community at first. I think Finland is basically the same. In Finland, the majority of the people who listen to our music today have their roots in the metal community. In Germany, however, I think that it's the gothic industrial community. So we are basically unknown in the metal community. But cold metal industry had a pretty brutal uprising within the metal community throughout the world in the 90s, thanks to the signing of Mortis to the label. And because of that, a lot of the magazines opened their eyes for Ordo, for the Slaughter Natives, for Raison, for all these different bands, and the popularity increased quite a lot. I think we had a really big. I don't think it was the mid of Terrorizer, but we were in Terrorizer magazine with me showing off my dick with the pictures from Conquest, Love, and Self-Perseverance. And everywhere, in every music festival in Scandinavia at that time, there was this giveaway free magazine that I don't remember, Prospective magazine, I think it was called. That's how Rose confronted our music for the first time when she found it at Hultsfred Festival. So yeah, it was huge in the metal community. Then I think it died more or less. Some people withstood, but nowadays I think it has a revival within the same community. But I think the people nowadays are much younger, and I think the people, various artists, are referring to their youthhoods when they listen to our music as inspiration today in interviews and stuff. So there's a name dropping procedure going on, which is quite bizarre.
I mean, it's always
it also reflects on the fact that we are really old.
No.
No.
We have aged a little bit, but we will never grow old.
No, like fine wine.
Yeah, exactly. Vinegar.
Exactly. Bitter.
Yeah. Exactly. Bitter and hard to swallow.
Yes.
Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So this is from Nick. Don't you get bored playing live in Saxony, considering how often they've been here?
I think that Saxony is probably it's the cradle of this whole culture. So for us, when we stop playing in Saxony, I think that we will stop playing altogether.
Oh fuck! Yeah, it's the same feeling I have. When the Eastern European countries no longer want underground black metal, then I'm fucked.
Yeah,
because
it's the same thing for us in Germany, but basically Saxony area. And but I think that you're correct. I think that when Moscow stops inviting us, then there's no point anymore.
No, I mean, and this is how it is. I mean, the vibrance of a scene tends to change a little bit. I mean, if you take the metal in Scandinavian metal underground, I mean, Stockholm was so vibrant, but today, I mean, all the bands are here, but nothing is happening there. I mean, you can think that the music is more or less banned in Sweden because you don't see it on TV, you don't hear it on radio. There are no gigs.
But I think it's the same thing with the whole cold metal industry phenomenon, which happened in the 90s and the early 2000s. People thought we had a very vibrant scene going on. That we must go to Sweden because there's so much happening. But there's absolutely nothing happening in Sweden at all. Never has, as far as our scene is concerned. The only thing which is here is the scene itself, but the artists. But we never perform here, and we never have.
No, I mean, actually, I'm wearing. Last time we met live, we were on quite a rocky boat together with the Waves of Darkness fest. Do you know how that happened? That festival in itself? Because first there was this cold meat industry festival in Stockholm, right?
Yes.
Which gathered, I mean, all the heavyweight names within, you know, the neo-folk industrial scene. And then it was this cruise. But those are the only events that I know of, actually, that has happened on, you know, Swedish soil in forever.
Festival-wise.
Yeah, festival-wise.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, from a festival point of view, those are probably the only thing which has been scene-oriented. And they haven't. They happen thanks to Vlad. And thank you, Vlad.
Thank you, Vlad.
Let's keep it happening. So, but yeah, it's difficult. And if we look at the majority of the audience, the majority was not from Sweden. So the people who came to the boat, the people who came to the CMI festival, they came from abroad. So the scene still doesn't exist in Sweden, but even though the concerts happen,
you can transport them to Sweden. Yeah. I mean, I've been, you know, in the underground music scene for a long time, but I've never seen such a well-behaved and, you know, nice crowd as on that cruise ship. I mean, and I know that the real security, I was working security, but, you know, not really, because they were like real security guys, you know, with, you know, sticks. And they were so bored because nothing is happening. And they're like, the only thing is that people are miserable. They must be miserable, right? Just look at them. They're so sad and they don't move. It's like, no, this is how happiness looks like, my friend. You have no idea.
No, a friend of ours from Spain, Maria, she said during our concert, because I think that during our concert, the worst scenario took place. I think that the waves were the highest they were over the entire cruise during our concert. So she said that if the boat would sink right now, she would die happy. It would be the perfect ending.
It would have.
It was, especially when she learned about the Estonia accident. Then and there, she had never heard about it before. But the scene is nice. We have a nice scene. People who want to overthrow the world are not prone to direct violence.
It's a wonderful scene, I have to say, and also I've never seen people spend so much money per capita on merch.
That's very thankful. Yeah, thank you everybody for buying our T-shirts and our CDs and the box. No, it was a great event. It was a fantastic event altogether. The waves added to the whole experience. I got seasick as hell. Yeah, I thought I would die. A lot of people thought they died. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Waves of vomit. That's what we named it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was terrible. It was absolutely dreadful. There are some really funny videos from when we were playing. I think it's during the track War, and the whole boat is going like this, and you see the audience moving along with that movement, and it seems like they're dancing to the music, but people are moving involuntarily. So
my job when you guys were playing, I was assigned, because, you know, I like what you guys do, so I was assigned close to the stage, but I was to guard a door. But I couldn't stand, so I had to find a chair in order just, you know, be in the area which I was supposed to, you know, working in, because you couldn't stand. And how you guys were able to pull that off on stage, to me, still, I can't understand how the hell you made it. But
no, I don't know either. After I've seen the videos, I don't understand either how we didn't fall off stage. But yeah, I suppose it was caught up in the moment, just trying to make it happen.
Yeah, you did. I'm gonna pest you a little bit now, because I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
lyrics is sort of my alley. So I have to ask you, which song to you to date is your crowning achievement? I mean, which song are you the most happy with when it comes to lyrics?
In High Heels for Nights of Broken Glass.
It's fantastic, actually. One of many, but yeah.
I think that's the one I'm most pleased with. I don't know why, but it speaks to me. Sometimes during concerts, I can still get goosebumps from singing some of the lines. I think that there are also other songs, for example, Social Darwinist Contortion from Let's Play is also one that is very close to heart.
And if you turn the perspective, which song do you seem resonates the most with your audience? I mean, which song do they love the most, or ask for the most?
It depends. That's also, it's territory oriented. It's not the same in Germany as it is in Russia. It's not the same in Sweden as it is in Germany. So I think that in Russia, when we were in Moscow in January, people were screaming for Lucifer in Love, which took us off guard because we didn't expect that. We couldn't play it then and there, but then we decided to incorporate it when we went on tour this spring, and we got fantastic response from the audience thanks to that song. So judging from all the statistics that you can get nowadays from Spotify and iTunes and everything, Ménage à Trois is the new super hit, the one that everybody wants to hear, thanks to the album. But Imbecile works in different countries, but definitely not in Germany. Where else was it? I think it was in China. When we were in China, it was a totally different repertoire of songs which they wanted to hear in comparison to Europe. So, but yeah.
I mean, that itself is pretty interesting, right? It also speaks a little bit about the volume of your catalog, because there is, enough stuff there for, to have a regional preference. Because your output is big.
Yeah, we've been around for a while. We started off, first songs were recorded in 1993. First album was released 1995, and then we've been biannual, releasing albums basically every second year.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how many. I know the names of all of them, but if we count them, it's a lot of albums. And from that, we can create quite a broad repertoire when we perform anywhere. And it's quite interesting, as you say, that depending on region, there's a different selection of songs they want to hear. But it depends on, for example, with Cold Mint Industry, there was an interesting phenomenon. Every second album was popular in Europe, and every second album was popular in the US. It was never the same album. So Reaping the Fallen, for example, was quite successful in Europe, while The Triumph of Light got recognition in the US. The Conquest Love got and on and on and on and on. And I think it's because of, back in the 90s, it was because the mailing system and the distribution of CDs took more time than it does today. When you have Spotify and you find a new listener, and that listener can go through your entire repertoire in an evening.
Yeah.
Years ago, it took years for anyone to collect everything and enjoy everything and see the entire concept. Now you're just something in contemporary media ether. That's all that happens.
Is the algorithm kind to you? How effective is your reach through Spotify? In your opinion,
I have absolutely no idea.
Do you have like the Spotify for artists? You have it.
Yeah.
Does it tell you anything?
Yeah, it tells me a lot of stupid information, but I don't know how to read it.
No.
So, but I can check my phone right now, see what it says.
Yeah, how many concurrent listeners? Just to I know how many beers we can sort of.
How should it be? 3.1 thousand listeners, 12.5 thousand streams, 9.4 thousand followers.
Well,
that's not.
I guess it's just. Well, no and yes. I mean, I think it's. Sometimes we stare at the numbers and we always crave more, but at the same time, when you started out, you only wanted to get across to, a few people. But I mean, potentially 7 billions. But it's hard. I think Spotify, it potentially can reach everyone, but you don't, because the algorithm.
I'm happy as far as we don't, because it doesn't pay anything.
No, it doesn't actually.
I think that the biggest payment I've ever received from Spotify was 50 cents.
That's not much.
No. So I'm happy for every listener that we're able to keep away from Spotify. Yeah, victory.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's also quite interesting when we speak about online listening and all these things, that when we were in China, the organizer was, when we were sitting on a train on the way from where was it? We were probably in Shanghai going to Hangzhou. He was listening to our music on his cell phone, and we asked him, "So, what are you listening to?" Listening to you. It's like, okay, you're listening to us. Where from? Is a streaming service. Okay, so it's a streaming service. Can we see it? Yes. And then he shows us, and there's a Chinese major streaming service having our music available in China. So when I come back, I ask the label, so how about China? Yeah, what? Yeah, who's managing the music in China? Nobody is. Okay, so nobody's managing the music in China. So who collects the money? What money? So it doesn't exist. But in China, there's a lot of people using these streaming services. So that's the market to win.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, potentially, and this is why we cuddle China all the time, because potentially there's this huge audience that we want to, get through to. But at the same time, it's extremely hard to get paid. I mean, it's hard enough from Russia and countries like that are not so, picky also when it comes to royalties and shit. But in China, I don't see any revenue. But then again, then we have YouTube with 1 billion subscribers, and the revenue from there is almost non-existent as well.
Yeah.
So,
no, but if I would do this for the money, I would be totally doing it in the wrong scene. I'm not doing it for the money. There's no money involved. So,
no.
And because of that, I'm only doing music for the pure love of making music. So, whatever income comes our way from the digital services, thank you, but it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, everybody who has like a band who releases an album gets the question, so how much money do you make? But I mean, you never ask people who own golf clubs whether, how much money did you make from your fucking golf clubs last year? I mean, maybe they got some sponsor balls and that's that. And I mean, nobody is frowning upon that. I mean, I guess it's for the love of hitting stuff with a stick. And it's the same with what we do. I got some questions here from a person. There's 2 more that I will pest you with, actually. Have you ever discovered new meanings in lines that you have written that you haven't thought of when you wrote them, but you can see it in retrospect?
Yes, but I can't say which, not here and now. But I've read my lyrics and come to the understanding that this can be understood in different ways. Yeah,
but it is interesting because it was written by a different man in a different time than the man reading it in another time. I mean, so you become your own audience in a sense, which is and the magic is that the music and the interpretation always belongs to the listener, and sometimes you're your own listener in that sense.
I'm never my own listener. I listen to my own music incessantly up until the point it is released. After it's released, I never listen to it again.
No. but when you reinterpret your lyrics, you become this outside party to your own stuff. Yes. No, I can't. I do listen to my music when I rehearse, because I mean,
you're forced to doing that. Yeah,
yeah,
it helps.
But I mean, I really hate it. It's the same when you go to a party and somebody thinks they do you a favor by putting the music. I don't want to hear that.
No, it's quite dreadful. It's also quite dreadful when you're at discos and people notice you that you're there at the gothic disco. Let's play his songs. It's like, oh fuck! I just sing through the ground.
I heard that in prestigious hotels in LA, they never play music of people who reside there out of respect.
That's great.
I mean, that should be the law everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, who wants to hear your? I mean, we heard them, and yeah, we wish others to hear them.
Yes.
But okay, so one more lyric question. Then I just have a few. Sort of. But which lyric that you wrote do you consider the most autobiographical?
Yeah, that's a hard one. All of them are autobiographical in a certain sense. Yeah. Because I write from an introvert perspective. But yeah, in my little black dress.
It's a fantastic piece of lyrics, actually. I don't have to tell you. You already know that I'm sort of perving on your lyrics and sort of stealing energy from it. But it's
thank you.
It's a great song and a great lyric, and it's also it's transcendent in a way, because it's really written from. I mean, it has to be. I got some out.
Yeah, me. Yeah, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I guess we're live.
Now we're supposed to take off a piece of clothing. Wasn't that what we decided?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
We have a question here before we wrap it up. Have you distributed blah 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 US or directly with a band?
I think Out of Line. Yeah, I think Out of Line has distribution in the US. They're working with somebody. So yeah, it's. With Cold Myth Industry, people always come back to Cold Myth Industry because it was a huge phenomenon. It had a huge impact in everybody's life. All the bands which are still around are basically where they are today because of what Cold Myth Industry became. And but we moved on from there. But even though we're with Out of Line now, questions still revolve around Cold Myth Industry. And yeah, I had a point there. And when we were there, everything was so much more intimate. You had much more insight into various things like distribution or what was happening. And yeah, but now when you're with a bigger label, you're a bit more out of context with what's going on. So some of these details I don't know anymore, but I'm pretty sure that there's good distribution in the US. But I don't have a link, no. But I can fix you one.
Yeah, check the band page later on. I think that's the band page on Facebook.
Or otherwise, check Out of Line, outofline.de.
Yeah, the record label. Yeah.
Yes.
What's I mean, you already mentioned it a little because we're going to wrap it up. I'm not going to keep you for forever. But you said you guys are going to work on an album, but how do you see, when do you perceive that you will be able to, do live gigs again? And to some degree, that's impossible to answer today.
Yeah, it's an impossible question. We have a concert coming up September 4th and 5th in Germany at the NCN Festival. But I don't know. Will it happen? Will it not? I have no idea, because Germany is canceling its curfew of festivals, or they're overlooking it again in end of August. So on the 31st of August, Germany will come up with a new decision on how big of groups that can gather. And only 7 days after that decision, we are supposed to play in Deutschen. And right now, I have no idea. We had plans, but plans that extended beyond 2020. But right now, I have no idea.
Yeah, and also the question to visit Latin America. I guess, I mean, you, as everybody else, would love to be back on stage and touring.
We have tried. Latin America is hard. It's difficult with South America, Latin America, because if you're a one-man band, then it's quite easy to invite one person to go on tour. But I've told everybody who are interested in having us there that we refuse to come as half a band. We want to come as a whole band. And because of that, there are 5 people coming, 5 airplane tickets, 5 hotel rooms, etc., etc. All the costs are increasing, and even though some people find us popular, we're not popular to the extent that people are willing to spend that much money bringing a small, perverted, possibly provocative act across the big pond and only have a turnout of 50 to 100 people.
Yeah.
But we have tried, and I'm pretty sure that at least at some point we'll go back to Mexico. But whether or not Mexico will extend into Chile, Argentina, that I don't know.
And I think this is the answer often, that musicians would love to tour more, go further. It's always the question is to find the right organizer who's ready to take that risk locally. And if you're a fan or a community of fans, you should always, I mean, artists, it's nice to hear that you want us to play, but it's even better if you tell local organizers and make them take a chance. And sometimes at least festivals could have a budget to try stuff out. That could happen.
Yeah, there are still European countries that we basically never visited, because the commitment of these countries are not the same as in other, like in Mexico. The people who brought us to Mexico, they financed it themselves.
Yeah.
But we've still never really performed in France ever. We've never performed in Norway. We've basically never performed in the UK. Where else is it? America, for example. People say, why haven't you ever been to America? Because nobody is willing to take the risk of bringing us. But we've been to China. We've done 14 concerts in China. So,
I mean, somebody has to take a chance. And I mean, bands, I'm not speaking on your behalf, but I think most bands are ready to, discuss terms and conditions if it's the opportunity to play somewhere we haven't played before. But somebody still has to take the huge risk of booking and the fixed costs of bringing a band for, a result that can never be guaranteed. I have to put this here. Leah says hello.
Thank you.
And Leah, you rock. But this is beautiful, right? That I can lift the chat into the video. I mean, this is the new shit. But Thomas,
you're the new David Letterman.
I am.
Yes. You won Letterman.
You won Letterman. Yeah, that's slightly less charming. But yeah,
I disagree. But you can have a band over there in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but Thomas, it's been a privilege that you took time, and this stuff will be online. And I urge any NETHERBIRD or extreme metal fan who finds this to really check out Ordo Rosarius Equilibrio, because it is a new world, especially lyric-wise. I think you can find so many depths, but music-wise also. I mean, I really like the music, but it's carrying fantastically powerful lyrics. So it's an honor and a privilege to have this conversation, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege talking to you. So let's do this more often.
We should, and we should beer more often also.
Yes.
I mean, in post the Corona stuff. I will end this by putting up a video, but thank you, Thomas, and see you around.
Thank you very much.
bring to meet. I kiss your eyes, one last goodbye. When lust has ceased, all love must die. The end is near, hope is gone. Let's fade and fall. What's done